Is being recorded on the afternoon of Sunday, October 8th, 2023. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hope you all have had a great weekend. In this video, going to talk about the weekly outlook for gold and silver as well as the miners. But first, if you already haven't, please subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it. Thank you. Now, getting into the video, let's start with the metals. And so we're looking at basically an oversold bounce in the sector. And gold came down to a low of 1823 on Friday. And if you're looking at weekly and monthly charts, you can see this support here really stands out, which is just above 1800. I mean, I think this is 1810, 1815. But if you're looking at the weekly and the monthly charts, it's around 1820. Also, if you do a measured downside target from this breakdown, a breakdown from this range, it projects down to 1820. And that's something I informed subscribers about last week in a flash update. Looking at, there's a lot of confluence of support around 1820. So last week, gold was getting pretty close. Then on Friday, intraday, traded down to 1823. Then you had the strong gain, strong candle to close the week. So moving forward, next week or so, the path of least resistance should be to the upside. So you have this big breakdown around 1900. So we know 1900 is going to be resistance. Looking at, I want to say 1880, 1885, just going off of the past when I was noting as support, that level as previous support. So that level should be resistance. Probably, this type of candle where you open, gain, and then all the way down there. So this is going to prove to be resistance here. So looking at 1880 to 1900, 1880, that is a potential upside target for this oversold bounce for gold. And of course, gold has broken below the 200-day, unfortunately. So you have the 200-day there, which is going to come like this. You have 1900. So that's stiff resistance. It's going to take some time to recapture that, unfortunately. But moving on to silver. So this is the 200-day moving average for silver. I have been showing the 400-day, which is kind of like this, basically. What silver has lost. But the 200-day for silver is coming in right around 23.5. If you're looking at, based on the candle price action here, you had a bullish hammer here. Big move there, so that's support. And then you had I mentioned the candle in gold, even more extreme in silver, where you open up here, trade up intraday, but then boom, all the way down like that. So that's ugly. So right below 23, have resistance there, as well as 22.5 or so, because this the breakdown from this consolidation, you had support right around 2250. And we can see, it was a peak here, support here, resistance here, support here. So this is around 2250. This is a pretty important level. Silver had a strong Friday, nice strong candle. So my target would be at least 2250, but it's possible this could climb up to 23, just below the 200-day. So I'm looking for short-term bounce up to potentially 23 and 1880. Those would be my targets as the week begins. Now, getting into the miners, you also have an oversold bounce, starting with GDXJ at the top, because I follow the juniors. I don't really follow the seniors. This is the 50-day moving average. 36, we can see, based on previous support here, resistance here, went a little bit above. In 36 also, 44 down to about 30, so the 50% retracement is 37 or a little bit below. So this is going to be stiff resistance here, as well as the 50-day, but it's possible we could run above that. So that's at 34 and change. So, looking carefully, this is probably initial resistance 33. Then you have more resistance at 34. So potentially you could see this climb up above 33, potentially test 34. That's my expectation for the next week or two. Now, looking at GDX, so initial resistance here, 27, 28, the 50% retrace, so 36 down to 26. It's about 11. So around 31 or maybe a little bit above, that's your 50% retracement. 30 here, came down. This was support, and then you kind of have a bit of a double top here. So that's resistance. So I don't see a rally in GDX going above 30, even if this has legs for more than a week or two. But, I would look for this to hit 28, maybe, maybe go above the 50-day and get close to 29. So those are my expectations as the week begins. So we do have an oversold bounce in the sector. We talked about the macro in recent weeks. The yield curve is steepening. It's getting closer to zero. We want to see it steepen and go above zero. We need to see that recession. We need to see that leg down in the stock market. That is what needs to happen before we start a real bull market in gold and silver for the first time in over a decade. The stock market, the S&P, came down, had a good bounce, held its 200-day moving average, which is sloping higher. So for now, for the next couple weeks, it looks like this is just an oversold bounce in the sector. We'll continue to monitor it as we usually do with all things precious metals. We'll have a lot more coming this week. Thank you for tuning into this video. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll talk to you guys again in the next video.